Hello everybody, this is Carol from Friendly Quail. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're not a subscriber yet, I'd really like it if you would subscribe. I'm doing so many fun things on here and I'd love to have more subscribers. Today I'm going to kind of do a twofer. I'm doing something for my farm journal, but I'm doing this Take 5 challenge. And I'm going to be making something like this envelope thing. So, the things that I need for the challenge: lined paper, something that blows in the wind, a quote, something that starts with the letter C, and something that dangles. So we'll come back and revisit this later and make sure I get everything. I'm starting with a piece of scrapbook paper, and I've already cut it down. It is 10.5 by 8.5, and it came from a size 12 inch square. So the first thing I need to do, and this is going to be the outside, is score it. All right, it's 10.5. I am going to score it in 3 inches right here, and from the other side it's going to be 2.5. So this is a half, 1, 2. Okay, that's for my folds. Let's see how I did. And that will give me this width, which is about 5 inches. Okay, now this overlaps about a half of an inch by doing it that way. Okay, now I'm going to also do some scoring for the bottom and the top. The bottom I'm going to score at 3/4 inches in. So this is a half, and this is about 3/4 right here. Okay, and from this side, 1 3/4. Oops. Gotta make sure I stay on the line. I keep going off right here. This will be the top. Okay. I need to do a little cutting on here. The bottom, I only want it up in the middle, so I want to cut this excess off down here. And I gotta see, where is my fold? Okay. I'm going to kind of come in here at an angle and cut that piece off. And my corner is here. I'm going to come in at an angle and then cut this piece off. If you cut it off just a little bit higher, that's okay. In fact, I should have done that here because it's not folding up as perfectly as I would like. Okay. All right, that'll be like that. Now we have to do the same thing on the top. My fold is right here, so I'm going to come in at an angle to that fold. And then cut just inside the line, coming up to it. Yep, that's good. All right, now I can use this to do the other side, except that it's a 1/2 inch shorter. So I have to put the fold where the fold is. Oops, I have to turn it around to get the right angle. Here's where the fold is. I'm going to use that for my template, just like you do with tags. And then cut it off there. All right. It's a bone folder to get those creases in there better. And that will be the size of my envelope. Okay, now for the, make sure that's, I want to put the brads in before I glue it. I took some of this same scrapbook paper and put it on another one to make it thicker. And I'm going to make some little dots. I'll try to kind of center it on that blue part, I think. All right, and then I'll do another one. All right, so these are going to be my little buttons under the brads. Now I have kind of big brads. They're decorative, but it'll still work. Now what I want to do is kind of mark where my brads are going to go. This is 5 inches wide, so at 2.5. I have to make sure the bigger part goes over the littler part. And below here, so I'm going to say somewhere right about here. And then this one at 2.5 up here. Maybe a little bit lower there. Okay. Now if I do this before the envelope is glued together, it's a little easier to get the brad done. Otherwise you can glue it and then kind of go inside of here to open the brad. But I can do this. I'm going to mark where that is and make a hole. I did that on camera. And I'm going to mark here and make a hole. And I also have to make holes in my little dots. I'll put a little dot where I can eyeball the center. Alright. I'll make holes in there. It just makes it easier to get the brad through. In fact, with these, I'm going to make the hole a little bigger. I'm going to poke it a little tighter just to get the brad through easier. Okay. And the brad's going to go in here. Oh, first I want to do a little bit of inking. Ink on these. And I think I'll ink this right away. Okay, this is the part that goes over, so this has to be inked on this side. Some of this is going to be hidden too, but I want to make sure that it's inked on anything that might show. And then I'm also going to do the inside top because that will flip up and you'll see that. Alright. And I think I'll do this line too. I'm going to do the back too, just in case I decide to use it like a floating pocket rather than glue it down. You can put it under a belly band or something. I'm using Distress ink, walnut stain. It's a little bit darker. Okay. Now it's time to put the brad in. Put that in the middle. Make sure it's kind of like right in the middle through the hole. I'm going to put a little bit of glue around it down here. Using art glitter glue, and then open it up. That'll just help hold it a little bit. Now when I fold it over, because of the amount that I've done, it's close, or it does get covered up. Otherwise I would put a piece of tape to keep it from keeping the paper from sliding in or whatever you put in the pocket. Okay, so let's put the other one on. All right, same thing. Get that on there. Now on this one, I probably will put something a little bit more decorative over this to cover it. So I'm going to, I'll add that later. We'll get the brad open. There. That'll be like that. Now we can glue. And when I glue something like this together, I glue on the outer edge of this, and I glue on the outer edge of this, and then I make sure that I've gotten all of it, no matter how wide it is. This is the part that's going to go down, this is the part that stays up. see, I didn't cut exactly the same amount off on both sides, so I'm just going to go in here. Go from this direction. Okay. And can't really see in there, but it is covered up where the grommet is. That was under the glue. Okay, so that'll look like that. And this is going to get glued here. As long as you get the edges and a little bit in the middle, you don't have to get, you know, all the way up into that little crack, because that might glue your thing shut, your envelope shut. Okay, so now there's my basic envelope. Now I need to decorate it, and this is where all of my things are going to come in. I'm going to start with lined paper. I found I have some lined paper that was like an egg, keeping track of your chickens laying eggs. From one of the digital kits I bought on Etsy, and I have those listed below. And that is going to get put on this corner like this. Get some glue on it. It's kind of thin. I did it on just regular copy paper, so it's a little bit thin. Okay. I have to tell you a story. My husband grew up on the farm, and I was a city girl. And the very first time I ever went to his house and met his family, there was a calf born. I think I'm going to put this down here too. Poultry breeding record. I'll link that up. Anyway, there was a calf born, and there was a cow that they knew was going to be having a calf, and she didn't come home when from the pasture. And so they went out looking for her, my husband and his dad. And they found her, and she had her calf, but she had rolled over, and she was in a gully, so she couldn't get up. So they got her rolled over and standing up, and then they put the calf in a wheelbarrow, and they brought the calf home. Now that was the first time I had ever seen a newborn calf, and I was very excited to see it. And then every time I would come over to, I'm going to rip around here. This is my next thing. I'll just stop a minute. This is my thing that blows in the, something that blows in the wind. I have a windmill with a farmhouse. That's going to be going on here. Let's see. And I'm going to put something here. I think I'll put a little of this cheesecloth underneath it, but I need to rip around it first. Anyway, they brought it home, and it was the first time I ever saw a calf, and so every time I came over to visit, my mother-in-law, she wasn't my mother-in-law yet, I don't think, she was just my boyfriend's mother, would say, oh, come out in the barn and see Charlie Brown, look how much he's growing. So I would go and I would pat Charlie Brown on the head, and, you know, I'd go visit and look at him every time. And then one day we were there and we were having lunch, and you might be able to guess what's coming. My mother-in-law said, how do you like Charlie Brown? And I said, well, I haven't seen Charlie Brown for a while. And she said, well, no, you're eating him. And I had to stop. I could not eat another bite. I said, I can eat meat from the grocery store, but I can't eat something I've been introduced to. So, I mean, that was like a pet to me. And they were all laughing at me because they had a small farm and they named everything. and they ate it. But to me, that was like eating, like I'd be eating my pet bunny or my dog or something, a cat. That was like a pet, and so they made fun of me, and I didn't go out in the barn and pet the newborn calves anymore after that. Because we got a lot of meat from them, and I was like, I can't do this. Okay, so here's my Something That Blows in the Wind. I think what I'm going to do is put some Fabri-Tac on. Figured out why this was exploding on me last week. If you watched the one where it was exploding on me, it was because my glue had gotten too thick. So I added fingernail polish remover. Just buy the cheap stuff from the groceries or dollar store. And then you can mix it up and then just let it sit for a while, and it dissipates into it, and it thins it. So it's working much better now. So it wasn't the fault of the Sugar Bell icing thing. It was my own fault because I hadn't realized that my glue was getting really thick. Okay. My husband has other funny things. One time they had a duck had eggs, and they ended up putting them under a chicken to hatch for some reason. And he said it was so funny because when the ducks got big enough, they went in the water, and the chicken would run along the shore just like frantic, squawking. Her babies were gonna drown, and they thought it was funny. So lots of stories of growing up on a farm. I got my own stories, like that squirrel that my sister and I took in the house. All right, so lines, my Something That Blows in the Wind, and I'm going to use this for my quote. It's from it's a charm, one of the really big charms from Tim Holtz, and it says, "Live for the moments you cannot put into words." So I went online and I looked it up, like, where did this quote come from? And it's from Chloe Malin, a graphic designer who lives in France. Now, she said, live for the moments you can't put into words. So he used the word cannot, but it's still really her quote. And I put it on a little piece of burlap, and I put a jump ring through it and into a black safety pin, and I put that glued that on, and I actually glued this down. It's not my dangly thing. It's my quote, but it could have dangled, but I thought it would, because it's heavy, that it would be better if I did it the other way. So I'm going to add this also with Fabri-Tac, and I'll leave some of those edges of that open there, and I will put that on. Make sure that's gonna be okay. Okay. Now that's glued in place. Now I need a closure on here. So for my closure, I'm using a charm with the word create on it. I need to tie this on here. So that kind of gets you the letter C, something that starts with the letter C. I've got both a charm and the word create together. But the charm is also going to be my thing that dangles, so using the word create that way I wasn't double dipping. All right, so now I like to do these kind of like a figure 8. Whoops. Get it under there. I think I'll just do it like this, and I'll dangle it right here. So that will go in here. And if I tie it about right there, it'll dangle down, but it won't hide my barn picture. All right, see how that is. Need it a little higher, right there. Okay. I'll do a square knot. And then I'll be trimming it. Trim the string off. This is actually that, I want to say farmer's twine. I'm not sure if you call it that or not. Okay, so here we have our envelope. And go around this way and dangle it. Okay, line paper, something that blows in the wind, something that starts with the letter C, a quote, and something that dangles. So I've met my goal for the take 5, and I've got something for my farm journal. Now, where I'm doing this challenge from is on the social media platform MeWe. We have a junk journaling group. So if you're on that social media platform, come to the junk journaling. I'm the full disclosure, I'm the owner of that list. I started it, but anybody can join, and we'd love to have you and see what you're doing. And maybe next time you can be in the challenge. I'm going to be linking other people's videos below mine in the description box, so you can, if you're interested, see what others have done with the same challenge from our group. So thanks for being with me today and crafting, and I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm getting close to the end of the farm journal. This is Carol from Friendly Quail saying bye.